You know, that's true. Okay, now we're live. Hi everyone. It's very good to have everyone here. We have some very special guests here today, and so we got to get started. Of course, we always had a little bit of sound problems in the last minute, but we're out here. We are live from Orlando, Florida, in the United States. We just came back from JavaOne, and we're going to discuss all kinds of cool stuff here about JavaOne. I'm going to introduce our guests in a minute, but before I do this, I've seen some people here. I see Marcelo, Victor, Alexander, Mauro, lots of different people, Daniele. So I want to tell you, where are you from? Where are you? First of all, okay, yeah. So if you're hearing me, I'm going to already know if you're hearing me well. So where are you from? So Thais is from Brazil, Victor from New Zealand, Isma is from Bangladesh, right? That's cool. So where are you from? Tell us, that's a good moment for us to find out where the chat is. Oh, video has freezes. Okay, that's not good. If you have problems with video or audio, let me know. And actually, I can, if you want to show up over there, Ed, I can actually.
Oh, no, I just want to see the chats that you're seeing.
Yeah, you can do if you turn your camera on, you can show both
okay.
Here, right? Yes, if you
turn on camera. Is that?
Yes, just turn on camera right there.
All right.
Yes, good. So now we can see you here. So we're all in the same place, right? So stream is offline. Okay, stream's offline. Let's see.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Can you type in the chat that we're restarting? There we go.
I can't get.
Microphone on, no sound. Right. Okay. How about this?
Yeah, we'll clear.
Okay, Ed. So now you have your own camera, man.
Yeah, I can't.
So, yeah, you can show up here if you want, but no. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I can maximize here, both of us.
Hey, I like being. That's better.
That's better. Okay, that's it. Sounds now. Okay, good. All right, so let's restart this. So I want to know, where are you from? So now that we know that sounds good, where are you from? Where are you coming from? We have some echo because I think Ed needs to turn his microphone off. Yeah,
oh,
that's good. Oh, this microphone is off, right? Well, whoops,
there, it's
that
off.
was echo. Okay, so that should fix it. So people, USA, Chicago. Let's see, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's very cool. So Araraquara, Brazil, Quito, Ecuador, Germany. Rodik is from Germany. Mauro is from Ecuador. Nice. Paraná, Brazil, USA, Nigeria, New Zealand, India, Germany, Washington, D.C., Brazil, India, Nigeria again. That's cool. Lots of people from everyone. São Paulo, Brazil. Okay. So we have people from all over the world here. Very, very good to see. Bangladesh. Right. So thanks everyone from joining Rio de Janeiro. Right. So, guys, I don't see anyone from Orlando, right? So, that's good. Right? We're talking to everyone from all over the world. That's great. So Rafael is actually from Brazil, but he lives in Ireland now. Great pleasure, Rafael, to see you here. All right. So without further ado, then, let me quickly introduce here our two guests. And so basically, we had JavaOne, the largest Java conference in the world, happening 2 weeks ago, right? Well, actually, almost just a week, right? It's a week ago, right? It happened a week ago and finished a week ago. And the three of us were there, right? So, and now we are here in Orlando. So we decided to get together and have some conversation with you about what we saw and the good things that were announced in the keynote, and answer your question about the technology world around Java. So, and Ed has a little presentation about serverless, right? That he's maybe we should start with that, right?
Let's start with a little chat, and then I'll get into the serverless.
All right, good. Okay, perfect.
Let's kind of do a rundown of what the week was for each of us.
Perfect. Okay, so let's do this. So without further ado, let me quickly introduce our Ed and Red start talking. So we have here Ed Burns, and Ed is a spec lead Ed, we can say it like this, right? So Ed Burns, right? He's a spec lead for Java servlets. He's been very, very involved with Java EE for a long, long time. He's a Glassfish committer, works for Oracle, is a Rockstar speaker at JavaOne.
Yes, I did finally got the Rockstar. Yeah, it took me 15 years trying, but I finally got the JavaOne Rockstar.
Okay, cool, right? So Ed Burns is going to be here. Yeah. Thanks, Ed, for being here, man.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Cool. Actually, we are here in your office, in the Oracle office.
Thanks. We have a great office here in Orlando.
Cool. Very, very nice. And the other guest we have here today is Mike Levin. And is that how I say Levin? Yeah. Is it good? Okay. So Mike Levin, he is a Java champion, right, for all the great things that he's been doing around Java. Are you also a Rockstar speaker at JavaOne? No, I'm not a Rockstar. Yeah, that's hard to get. No, I'm not either, right? Yeah. So he's a Java champion. He's a Java user group leader, and he's as a Java user group leader, he's been involved with several Java user groups. So he runs it Orlando Jug, right? The Gator Jug
in Gainesville,
Florida,
and I'm a co-founder of the West African Java user group.
Oh, West African, cool.
Based in Dakar, Senegal.
Oh man, that's good. That's cool. So then you have to tell us this story, how you got a relationship, with them, or how you found them. So
it's a good story.
I saw some people here from Nigeria, for example. There might be some other people from Africa. Okay. So that's very, very cool. Yeah. That we have this connection here. All right, so with Mike has been to JavaOne last week too. So with you guys, Mike Levin. Yeah, excellent. So let me tell you how the rules work, right? We are here to talk about things that you guys want to hear about, right? So if you ask questions, we're going to prioritize your questions. So ask questions, okay? That's why you know where the chat is, because you're already typing in it. So ask questions so we can make this very, very interactive. That's the reason why we do it live, right? Otherwise, we're just going to record it and you would watch a recorded presentation. But now we want to do this live to make it great for you, okay? So let me start with a general question, right? So we had JavaOne 2 weeks ago. What is for each one of you, what is the one thing, the top thing that happened to JavaOne as you? Either an announcement or something you did, or presentation you made. What is the top thing that happened in JavaOne last week for you?
You can go ahead, Mike.
Mike, go ahead.
For me, it was nice to see a turnout of what I believe is close to 60,000 people. So there were a lot of people there. Now, this was a combination of JavaOne and Oracle Open World. So there were people there for Open World also. Tons of people. And that is a testament to the fact that Java is incredibly popular out there in the world. Java, open source, and all of the new innovations.
That's pretty cool. All right. So how about you, Ed?
For me, it was if I had to pick one thing, it would be the E for J, Java EE handoff. But for me personally, it was the opportunity to see the excitement around that and have the chance to actually participate in a handoff in a very real personal sense, because on one day I gave a talk about servlet, which was the last talk I'll probably give about Java EE8 servlets at JavaOne. And then the same day, give a talk about the new serverless state service. So both of the things that are exciting, a new beginning for the EE and a new beginning for me to work on the serverless and state service project.
Okay, cool. Very, very cool. So for me, I love the fact that, all the great announcements we're going to talk about here today. I see Baslur asking, they want to hear about EE for J, right? So we're going to talk about this in a minute.
Yeah.
And so I think all of this was great. The announcements were great. But I think that for me personally, what I loved was that we had a lot of work put in on the JavaOne Group's Sunday event, and that event was full. Right, we had every session of there's a lot of people in it. The technical sessions were like completely overflowing. And so I think that was, I think that the participation of the community in organizing JavaOne was great. So that was, for me, was the highlight of it. Actually, it was the first day of the event, and it was also the highlight of the event for me. Cool, excellent. It was a lot of fun.
Well, yeah, I want to say about the Sunday thing. I think the JavaOne organizers did a really good job. But you could see it maybe 3 years ago, when there was a transition where there was a concerted effort to say, let's make JavaOne first a community-focused conference. Mm-hmm. Second, a showcase of vendors and the technologies that they're putting out. And that effort that was started a while ago has been increasing and increasing every year to the point now where the Sunday is really all community. We didn't have any Oracle speakers on any of the main tracks on Sunday. I could be proven wrong, but it was, for me, looking through the schedule builder, Sunday was all about community people.
Yeah, so there are a couple of Oracle people in there. You present a couple percent.
I guessed it, right?
Yeah.
I was happy to guess,
right?
But it wasn't like that was on there just as an Oracle guy,
right? Yes, even every Oracle person that I know that were part of the Sunday event was like a co-speaker of someone else, right? And basically we did a huge effort to have. Every session be most sessions be panels. So we had lots of discussions with the audience. So it's like very few things that it was just kind of people speaking and no connection to the audience. So I think that was great. So, I think that's one of the biggest announcements. So once first, Ed, I think if you turn the camera off, because there's like a little there's kind of, yes, that's better.
All right.
So, I think that the biggest announcement, it was not exactly at JavaOne, but it's like right before JavaOne, was the EE for J thing. And we have two questions right there about this. One is from Emran, that he says, is JSP, servlets, and JE dead now? Right? That's his question he makes. I think that's a question that lots of people are going to make. And his second, and like a follow-up to this question, Basler says, we're going to listen about EE for J. Right? So I think, Auto was not announced at JavaOne. I think that topic was the most talked about discussion at JavaOne. Don't you guys think?
Yeah, and if you join the EE4J-community at eclipse.org mailing list, you can see the discussion is just blowing up.
Right.
So let me speak directly to Basler's question.
Emran, right?
Emran's
the guy that asked
question.
If
it's certainly not dead. There was just 2 days ago, I sent my first mail to the list in response to Steve Millage from Payara. Mm-hmm. Steve was sending one of a series of mails. We got one from IBM, we got one from Red Hat, kind of all the principals sending mails expressing their support and how they intend to make concrete contributions in terms of staff time, which is really where the rubber hits the road. Right. Nothing can get done without staff time. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I'm hoping people appreciate when they start to do the EE work themselves in EE4J is how much work and effort it is to do and how much work and effort Oracle did to actually get this far. Producing the spec, the RI and the TCK is a lot of work, and I'm very, very, very thankful to Oracle for all the years they were able to support me in doing that. And not just me, but all the other spec leads as well. Mm-hmm. So that concrete contribution of staff time is something that is a real big deal. So to come back to my email, Steve Millage from PR was saying, hey, we'd like to step up. We got Arjun Timms, who was on the JSF expert group, very noted JSF community leader. And I replied to Steve's mail saying, hey, the EE4J group will decide who is taking over the spec leadership. So that would be for EE, for servlet, for all the other things. But I said, my recommendation is to have Arjun do it as well, to take it over. But it's up to how the Eclipse Program Management Committee, PMC, decides how to do things. The key point I want to take away before I even get into any slides is Oracle truly is handing it off and stepping back, and it's the community who can make the decision under the rules and processes of the Eclipse Foundation.
Right. So to the specific question, those things are dead now. They're not. They're definitely not dead.
Right.
And there's going to be a much bigger chance for a larger community participation.
Yes, but the dead. Here's the but part. Dead or not. Dead is a question of vitality, right?
Right. Yes.
So the opposite of when you're dead, you don't have any vitality. When you're alive, you have lots of vitality. The vitality is, again, people getting involved. And that's where I think, for at least I can say for JSF, we've always had a very good community. Some of the best professional relationships I've had and real friends I've made in my career have been working with the JSF community. And that's been a real great thing. So I'm confident that will go forward. But then if you saw just the past 2 days on the list, we had Greg Wilkins and Mark Thomas, 2 of the Servlet EG members, coming on there saying they'd like to move it forward. But the notion of who's going to lead, that's going to be up for the PMC to decide.
Right. Okay. Perfect. So how about you, Mike? Have you seen, you're very involved in the user groups community. Have you seen some excitement, some doubts, or what do you think about this? Because Ed is for Oracle, right? He's going to say that everything's great, right?
Everything is great.
I'm just kidding. But, how about you? What do you think about it? What's going on?
Well, I think it's pretty widely recognized that the Eclipse Foundation does a good job. So I think it's a nice thing that the Eclipse Foundation now has their arms around this thing. And there's a good bit of excitement, because J2EE, JEE, and now its latest incarnation, which I cannot, it doesn't roll off my tongue.
You don't like the EE for J? I love it.
I didn't like it. Yeah. I'm just saying it's a little hard to remember. EE4J.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's a good name.
Yeah.
No, but I think it's good.
It's better than J2EE, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, EE for J, J2EE.
Yeah.
It's nice to see things moving forward, and I think it's in good hands.
Yeah. So I'm very excited. I think this announcement, it's something that we've been discussing for a long time, how to get more participation in the Java specs, and how to get Java more open. And I think that Java EE has always led the way in openness and participation, right? I think there's no other spec there's several great specs in the Java world, but the Java EE specs in general, they always led the way of being more open, being more transparent, being more open source, right? I think everything happened first with Java EE, and so I'm very, very excited because now we're doing a very important move of making the whole thing even more open. It's already open. It's already open source, but it's even more open. It's even more easy to participate, right? So we're going to have like open source TCKs is one thing that people have been asking for ages, and that's now true. And we're going to have the whole process led by a foundation. That's another thing people have been asking for a while. So I think this is a very, very exciting news. And no, I think that's we are on a moment that the whole thing's going to explode even more instead of reducing vitality.
All right, so
going to be a lot better.
I want to give a tip regarding the TCKs. A lot of people are interested in the TCKs, but few people have actually seen the source code of the TCKs. I have. I would like to say that if someone wants to find a ticket to become a Java champion, what you want to do is stay tuned to when the TCKs are released and find some way to automate the conversion of them into a more modern test harness, because the Oracle-owned TCKs have all been done from the J2EE days with the same set of technology, which predates JUnit. So it's really old. It works. It does what it needs to do, but it is not at all up to what current standards are as far as what testing is for the Oracle. These are for the Oracle-owned TCKs. Now, CDI and V-validation, they came along. They were the two first non-Oracle-led big pieces of the technology stack that were from Red Hat, and they wrote their own TCKs, and they used more recent things. So that's a big chunk of work. And when it comes to vitality, again, I can't stress enough, the importance is someone stepping up to do the work. And that's going to be a big chunk. So if someone wants to like take that and run with it, you'd probably get, I mean, I don't make any decisions about Java champions. You guys do, actually.
Yes, exactly.
You two are Java champions. I'm not. But I'm just going to put out there, I think that would be well received. Just a thought.
Yeah, I think you're totally right, Ed. I think that's this is perfect. So get Ed's tip to heart, right? Because this is a perfect moment to get involved, right? You mentioned a specific way to get involved with the TCKs and the testing, and I think it's a good one, right? But but it's a perfect moment to get involved because a lot of things are going to happen, right? You know, in the next few months, the next year, right? And people that aren't getting involved right now, they're gonna be in a better position. And I totally agree with you. If you start to participate and you start to do the work and you start to show up, every day in the community, you do have a big chance to become known for what you do and become a Java champion. Yes.
Well, let's answer some of these questions in here. So okay. Jack was asking, does this mean NetBeans is involved, just Eclipse? NetBeans is its own thing. That was the big news last year. Oracle doing that and all to Apache. Right. So yes, NetBeans is not involved in this E4J thing as far as process goes. But we all know technologically NetBeans has always been right on the cutting edge. Every time there was a new Java EE or SE release, NetBeans was there at day one with tool support. And this was the first time that we didn't have that, and I was sad about it. So I'm really hoping that we get the Java EE 8 stuff in NetBeans as soon as possible.
Well, I think there's two things on this question, right? So when people ask, is NetBeans not involved only Eclipse? Well, that's the Eclipse Foundation. It's not the Eclipse, the IDE. It's the Eclipse Foundation. So Eclipse Foundation is an independent foundation, and they run lots of different projects, including the IDE, right? So I think that in that regards, yes, NetBeans is involved too, because NetBeans is run by Oracle, and Oracle, well, not anymore.
It's Apache,
right?
yeah.
So you're right. So it's Apache, but NetBeans is involved because all the IDEs can participate, right? So the Eclipse Foundation is going to do EE4J, but of course, NetBeans, IntelliJ, any other IDE will have wide open participation through the Eclipse Foundation anyway, right? So it's not a question of. I think that we have to separate the Eclipse Foundation from the Eclipse IDE.
Yes. Oh, it's so easy. I just now made that mistake.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Because we have to remember the IDE wars. Some people look at them as a thing of the past. I think we still have 3 viable IDEs in the Java space.
Well, I think it's great.
So, yeah, it is.
Right.
It's good.
I think the more IDEs we have, the better. Absolutely. Yeah. Right.
So, all right. You're welcome, Jack. Is Java certification? Charles asks, is Java certification still worth writing? I would say yes.
I would agree. Absolutely. Yeah. Any credibility that you can give yourself in your work and looking for work. Also, it sharpens your skills to take these tests.
Right.
So I think it's a good thing, definitely.
Right. In fact, I was given the chance to review some of the materials on the Java 9 certification, and it's a great way to prove to yourself and to the world that you're up to date on the new stuff.
Right.
So, which ties into this other question from Froge. What do you think is being significantly improved with the new Java edition that wasn't in 8? For me, the 2 big things are Jigsaw, the module system, and so, which again ties into EE. If we had a module system in the Java EE 6 days, everything would be totally different. The way history would have evolved. The absence, because it's been this thing we need it. It's been pushing back. It went so long that eventually someone invented OSGI, and now we have that as well. And I just hope that everyone can put their differences aside and say, let's use Jigsaw, even though it doesn't have versioning, even though it's missing a few things, even though it's possible to look at it and say, well, it's a great thing for modularizing the JDK, period. But we need to take it further than that and use it for more than that. So I really hope that whatever happens in EE4J, the modularity story is built on top of what's been done with Jigsaw. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that, guys?
I definitely agree.
Okay.
If it had come around version 6 timeframe, that would have been nice.
Right.
Better late than never.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that Java 9 brings a lot of interesting things, and Jigsaw is definitely, it's definitely one of them. And the thing that I think right now is that, of course, there's hundreds of changes in Java 9.
I know.
Jigsaw is the big one, right? The one that everyone's kind of expecting for a while. But there are hundreds of changes, and I think that's funny enough. It will be the one that like day-to-day developers, in my opinion, will not have a lot of things in it. Because you're not going to be using Jigsaw. I mean, you're going to be run things using Jigsaw,
right?
But you're not going to be writing code for
right.
it.
So
right? Most developers.
We got to get to JShell then, because the biggest one that is right on your face is JShell. I used JShell myself just the other day when trying to test out a new data structure that we have on the serverless cloud map, and it was really easy to fire up JShell and do exploratory programming.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I got to give a shout out to the good cop, bad cop guys.
Okay. All right.
Simon and his partner in crime,
Martin.
I can't recall his name.
Okay. Oh, it was Oleg.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, Oleg Shaljev.
Okay. Sorry, Oleg, if you see this, but for me that was one of the best presentations of Java.
Oh, tell me about it. I didn't see that one.
It was just cool because they talked about JShell and they showed different ways to use JShell. The bad cop said, well, don't all the other languages have some sort of shell, interactive shell, like maybe Python or Ruby,
right?
So there were some pros and cons. I don't think it's a con that other languages have it. I think it's a real pro for Java that you can get in there and hack around in a very quick, easy way. So I thought it was cool. I thought it was entertaining. As far as presentations are concerned, I think those are available online somehow. So if you guys can watch.
Here, I'm going to put a link to it.
Yeah, the official Good Cop, Bad Cop guide to Java 9. Not only do these guys know what they're talking about, but they covered the material quickly and efficiently. They can type fast, and they're entertaining. So I recommend that.
That's cool. All right. So you're going to put in the chat the link to the presentation.
I did.
Yeah. So, cool. So let me see here some of the questions here. So Rodrigo's asking, what about MVC specs? Is it moving to Eclipse Foundation too? Yes, it is, right?
Well.
No? Oh, because MVC is not part of the Java.
MVC is a JCP spec.
Right.
And it was not in the Java EE domain. So the intellectual property of we handed off MVC to Ivar before.
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
So he is the spec lead for that,
right.
And he has the IP and the RI now. So going forward, that will be up to him to put it there.
Okay, cool. All right. So now, if you wanna know about Ivar's opinion on MVC, we did have an interview with him earlier on Code for Life. So you can just join code4.life. And go there. There's an interview with Ivar where he talks about MVC and what he plans for the future of MVC. So that is a good one.
Cool.
Okay.
I want to get Kathy's question about Docker.
Okay, Docker.
So what do I think about Docker? Well, I just started Docker on my laptop here, and with this chat software, it took an awful long time to start. Other than that, Docker's great. Now, it is one of the things that you got to look at Docker and say, why is it so popular? And I think it kind of comes back to why were WAR files so popular? And it is the notion of being able to package an app up with all of its stuff. But it took what a WAR file did and takes it to the entire Linux operating system. Right. So it's important to point out Linux, Docker is Linux only. So if you're running it on Windows or you're running it on Mac, you're actually got a VM system going as well.
Yeah, Microsoft is working on it now.
We're working on a native.
They're working on native containers and things like that. So eventually.
Well, but it is based on LXC, the Linux container system, so it's closely intertwined with the Linux kernel. But Which is an interesting point because I was talking to a friend of mine from Google who works on this Magenta operating system. And he was like, yeah, now we've got to the point where we actually have an OS monoculture. And that could be seen as a threat for a number of reasons, security being one of them, right? So if there's only one operating system that hackers need to think about, and that is Linux, then everyone's going to learn about Linux and learn how to hack Linux. But at least when we had a widespread diversity of different operating systems, that wasn't as much of a problem.
Yeah.
So
but containers are not specific to Linux, right? So
Docker is though.
Well, Docker is, but that's what I'm saying. Microsoft is very invested heavily in Docker, and I'm sure they're going to come up with some interesting things. I'm running Windows containers for some customers, right? So we use Jelastic cloud providers, and so they do have Windows containers, right? So
okay.
So yeah, that's coming for other OSs too. It's not. I don't see that as a problem. But I totally agree with you, Ad. You just kind of compare Docker with WAR files, and I think the biggest thing that Docker brings us is the packaging.
Yeah,
right? There's lots of things in Docker and all the virtualization technology and everything, but the packaging is what everyone agrees on. And once you have the packaging agreed, once we agree how do we create a WAR file, it's a lot easier for everyone to use WAR files for a lot of things. Right?
Right.
So that's what we've seen with Docker. Once we agree how to package a Docker container and what is it going inside, then it makes it a lot easier for all of us to use containers for a lot of things. So, because containers, it's something that's been around for quite some time. We have containers since the 70s. And actually, I first had connection with containers when Solaris zones came out, right? It was a great container technology, but the packaging was still not very, it was not very defined. And so with Docker, I think that we got there.
Right. And so to speak to that point, there's the Open Container Foundation or Open Container Initiative that Docker is a part of.
Right.
Both Docker and Rocket are being involved in that. So I think that's something people should keep an eye on. Open Container. I'll put a post to the blog on the chat there.
All right. So there's a question here from Marcelo that I think is an interesting one. He says that JavaOne is essentially about Java. But did you guys hear or anything about methodology like Lean, Agile, XP? Did you see any presentation about those things?
Not this year. Last year we did have a track. I think wasn't there a track about it last year?
I think so.
I don't remember seeing such a track this year.
Yeah, I myself didn't watch any presentation about methodology. Well,
maybe they tried it and then they were like, oh, I didn't get enough people in the seats. So I don't know. Because it's well covered by other conferences.
Right. Yeah, I don't know myself. I myself didn't see any. Maybe there are some. JavaOne has a wide mixture of presentations. The one thing that I'm going to say to you is that JavaOne, there's a lot of discussions about open source, right? And I think that it's in terms of process and methodologies, there's a lot of discussion around how to run better open source projects. And I think that we're seeing now with the Eclipse discussion and NetBeans being going to Apache and OpenJDK moving to a 6-month release cycle. I think we're seeing all of those great open source projects with a very good and agile process. And I think in a way it's not much of your question, our answer to you, Marcelo, but at least that discussion happened a lot of JavaOne, right?
Right.
The new six month release cycle for Java,
which is much better than how many years?
3, 4,
yeah, like
7.
I think it was 3 years or so. That's too long.
Yeah. Last version was 3 years ago. Yeah. So I think that let me see. Java certification, Manuel. There's a lot of things here. So let me kind of since I kind of pulled this plug right there. What do you guys think about Java 9? For me, this point we just mentioned about actually I wrote in an article recently that the fact that moving Java to a 6-month release cycle, I think that might prove in the long term to be the most changing decision in around Java, right? I think for me, I would trade even Jigsaw right? If we had implemented that on Java 8 instead of doing Jigsaw, I think that would still be valid. Because I think that putting Java on a 6-month release cycle will completely change the way that we see Java and how we participate on the evolution of it, how Java is adopted in the marketplace. Do you guys think of the same thing as I think, or is that my thing?
Absolutely. Well, as always, the industry is changing so fast, so many innovations. So the 6-month release cycle, I think, is a great thing.
Right.
Well, I think this speaks to the end of on-premise and the rise of software as a service. So when you have your project, which is continuously deployed, everything with the cloud, or one of the main important points of the cloud is the ability to do small incremental updates with rolling deployments and not ever take your things down. So this is the kind of Facebook model of deploy something every day or several times a day, right? And deploy straight to production. When you have that much velocity, you're not going to be wanting to wait years and years for a new version. So that's why it's a good thing. And I'm going to try to get to Amit's question about FN. So I'm going to get my stuff set up. Why don't you do some more coverage while I get that going?
Okay. So yeah. So basically, yeah. I was gonna make a plug for you from his question, right? So Amit asked about FN project. So Amit, Ed's gonna talk next, and he's gonna do a presentation about FN. So I think that you're gonna love that. So let me just kind of quick go here. Manuel says, my impression there are many front-end technologies quite popular now, which are changing the way we develop. Angular, React, NPN. Will there be a change in Java API should incorporate or contribute to this? Or are we going to stay as mainly a server-side programming language? Well, I think that's a question for you, Ed.
I know it kind of is.
Yes,
we've seen over the years a shift in focus where Oracle is investing in terms of desktop UIs. And this is something that was always, even back in the Sundays, something we had AWT, we had Swing, and we had JavaFX, and we put a lot of effort and engineering time into these great, rich client technologies, and they're still there. But it has never been something that's a big, I don't know, shareholder value producer. I'll put it that way, as diplomatically as I can. So, and then there's the notion of, well, the browser is has won in terms of UI deployment platforms. So, I still think there's a place for server-side templating. I mean, I know that Angular and React have gained some popularity simply by adding server-side rendering to their model. And we've had that, of course, in Java forever, right? Mm-hmm. You could look at what JSF was doing for a long time as a, what's that word? There's a special browser word for when you have to write something that the tag doesn't exist on the server, on the client side. I wish I remembered it. Anyhow, it's a workaround basically, and JSF was doing that for a long time. So that's going to be up to the community again, right? So how far they want to take the server-side thing. JavaFX is mature and there in the platform, and that is not being, that's open source as a part of OpenJDK, so that's going to stay.
Well, there was a great presentation, JavaOne, from Eder Ignatovic that he talked about JavaScript frameworks and how to interact with them from Java. So I think that was a good one. I'll try to look for it and put a link here. So, Mike, I think that's this question here. It's a good one for you, right? So, Baslur, he's actually JavaScript leader in Bangladesh, right? So, so it's a close friend. So Baslur saying that teaching someone that's new to Java was a bit difficult, right? So you start from main, and there's like all these keywords and everything. How Jigsaw is going to make that harder or easier?
Well, I think the class path issue has always been, configuration has always been an issue. So now that we've got that a little bit more under control, it's going to be a little easier to learn. I also think that, just getting your hands dirty, getting in there and coding, finding a mentor. You know, people ask me constantly, how can I learn Java? You know, what should I do?
Yeah.
Or I'm a QA guy or a configuration management guy, and I want to move into a junior programmer position. How do I do it? Well, I would say get involved in some coding projects, or, you know, pick one yourself. Pick out something that you'd like to do and do it, and get other people involved. Your user group is a great place to start. Your user group is a great place to start. You know, that's where you'll make the human contact. There's a lot that you can do over the web. There's a lot that you can do virtually, but there's no substitute for, you know, pair programming, sitting right next to someone, whether it's as a hobbyist or on the job training. I think, you know, I've been programming for a long time, and I still prefer to program with somebody else.
Right.
So that's a great way to learn.
Is the whole idea that, you know, the creative activities like programming works better if you work with someone that knows more than you do, right?
Absolutely. Or you can collaborate based on different experiences.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So by the way, since you're supporting so many user groups, Basler is doing a great job with the user group in Bangladesh.
Fantastic.
But he's also doing a great job of teaching, you know, people that are starting to program. Right? So, you know, maybe you guys could get together and do some discussion about this, because I think he would love to have you as a speaker for his user group.
I would love to.
Right?
Yeah. And vice versa, if you ever want to come to Florida or West Africa.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of things online, right? Because it's very hard for you to get to Bangladesh, right? Right. So let's see here. Mauro says, you know, what areas can we get involved in how? So Mauro, there's a lot of things going on in the job right now. NetBeans has been moved to the Apache Foundation. So there's they're needing a lot of help. So let me just kind of tell you a little help that people can make to NetBeans right now. You know, they're trying to move the license from the original license. There was GPL and CDDL for NetBeans to Apache, right? So they have to change the license in all the source code. So, you know, it's a quick thing that you can keep, and there's a very, very good help on those kind of things, you know, testing and understanding NetBeans. That's a good moment. You know, EE4J is a perfect moment for you to participate. OpenJDK has a lot of cool stuff with the new 6-month release cycle. It opens up a lot of interesting possibilities. Do you see any other things that people can join in and participate right now?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to give my CodeTown a little plug.
Cool.
There's a social network out there called CodeTown that I started, and it's sort of a play on words because we're here in Orlando and they call it O-Town.
Mm-hmm.
But CodeTown is like a Facebook for software developers. And what I've done is
CodeTown.org?
CodeTown.com.
Okay.
Yeah, so it aspires to be something like Stack Overflow with a little bit more personality, and it's a good place for you to make friends, ask questions. Of course, it gets trolled by the recruiters constantly. So if you're looking for work, it's a good place to show off your talents, and check it out.
Excellent. All right, CodeTown.com. Perfect. So what else here? Say here. Okay, so what is your opinion on the versioning style for the new 6-month release cycle? You know,
yes, the 18.3.
Do you like the 18 dot something thing?
Some people said to me, Ed, you know, we got to just do semantic versioning. Semantic versioning is one. But then if you look at semantic versioning version 2 itself, there was some funny discussions in the mailing list for them about, oh, we're not using semantic versioning on semantic versioning. So it's still meta.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fine. Yeah, personally, 18.3. Oh, it's all right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it rolls off the tongue.
18.3. Yeah. You know what? I think at least it skips the 13, right?
Yeah.
We're getting ready for Halloween here, right? So
right.
Okay.
Well, we can talk about FN now if people wanted to see that, if you don't mind, or do you want to take some more questions?
I'm just gonna quickly go this here so we can finish here. Since lots of stuff was re-implemented in Java 9, right? So with performance. So what would you pick to compare with previous Java version to show there's a great performance update in Java 9? Well, do you have anything like performance improvements? There's a lot of performance improvement in Java 9, right? I don't think you should take like a one class to talk about performance improvement. I think that performance, for it to show performance, you have to take a look at some benchmarks and see how Java 9 compares in terms of benchmarks, because just kind of showing one class, I don't think that's valid.
Right. Well, I think we've got ready access to lots of profiling tools, so that's a good chance to get in there and test out those third-party tools.
What is a great moment to do like a quick plug in another open source thing, right? So Oracle open sourced it around JavaOne, open sourced it, all of the analysis and production tools that you can now use in your production software. Before you can only use for development, now you can use everywhere. So Oracle open source all those tools too. So a good thing could be, get your software that you have right now, run it on Java 8, and then run it on Java 9 using those tools, and then you can compare how things go, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Make your own test, man. Don't rely on other people.
I want to take this question from Marcelo about Spring.
Okay.
So one of the things that separates Java EE from Spring is the choice of vendors. So if you would like to use Spring, even though it is fully open source, there's nowhere you can get Spring from other than Spring Source, Interface 21, Pivotal, all the different incarnations. And they do a great job of making a product that's gets the job done, is easy to use. Spring Boot, they're doing a great job of stuff, but it is indisputably a single vendor. And Java EE has always been about multiple vendors, one API. That will still continue to be the case because, IBM, Red Hat, Oracle, and then the smaller players in terms of, headcount and size, not in terms of power, Tommy Tribe and Jetty and other things like that, PayR, of course, thank you. They're vendors also. So can they still coexist? I think they can coexist, but it'll be interesting to see how, if perhaps Pivotal was staying away from Java EE in the past because of the Oracle influence. Maybe now that influence has been put on a more level footing with other vendors by donating it out to Eclipse, maybe Pivotal won't stay away. I hope not. Right. If people know me personally over the years, I've worked very hard in the specs that I've led to try to make sure we had participation from Pivotal. In JSF 2.0, we had, in JSF 2.2, we had the JSF Flow feature, and that feature was based on Spring Web Flow. Keith Donald, who you probably know from Melbourne, Florida, right. We've had him over to the Orlando Jug on a number of occasions, was on the JSF 2.0 expert group. So we've had participation from them, but it's always kind of been more at arm's length rather than fully embracing like we have been able to do with Red Hat, right in there. Just kind of a more adversarial thing. So I coexist. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
But now we're ready to do. Actually, does your software do screen sharing or is it just slides? Do you know?
No, just screen sharing.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can do. But so just a segue for what you're just saying here. Marcel is asking, Oracle have any participation in Java Evolution, or it has completely donated to Eclipse. Oracle is part of. I don't want to. Do you want to answer this?
Yeah, I'll answer this. Yeah. It's important. Your question doesn't specifically call out Java EE, and the only thing that was donated to Eclipse was Java EE. Right. The core Java OpenJDK is still the same as it's ever been.
Right.
So we're going to have the same level of participation in the core Java evolution that we've always had.
Right. And for EE itself, Oracle is part of the Eclipse Foundation. It's one of the top participants in the Eclipse Foundation. So it will still be involved with Java EE through the Eclipse Foundation, no problem, right? So as everyone else. The good thing is that everyone will participate through the Eclipse Foundation in the same way, right? Basur says, Mike, I would love to have you in a jug session. Right? It would be a privilege for us. Right?
Likewise.
Okay. Cool.
I love
Excellent.
that. I love that idea.
All right. Good.
I do too.
And
Yeah,
likewise,
so-
if you want to come out here, let us know.
Yeah. So so if you also if you want to invite ads, he's going to be he also available to do things remotely. I'm also available to do things remotely. If you want any of us to join user group, let us know. So let me so ads. Let's switch to here.
All right.
Let's
So-
go to the screen. Yes, go right there, and so you see the
This
third
thing?
button. Yes, turn screen share on. So now you have to decide which one you're gonna do.
Oh, yeah, I get a certain window.
No, you can do the whole thing if you want.
So is that what no window is? Is that
Yes, probably. Yeah,
okay?
I was sharing a window, but let's see.
Allow. I guess I have to pick one.
Yeah, I guess so. Oh, that's a security thing. That's not even choose the window yet. That's a security thing from Firefox.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So now, okay, good. So now you're sharing.
Yeah, I think it's about to come up. There you go.
Yeah, let me.
But I'm only showing my browser then, right?
Yes, you can share one window. So yeah,
So I'm not showing the PowerPoint. Okay.
yeah, but you maybe have to do that too.
All right, let's try this. Here we are. Okay, good. So this is, all right, these are some slides that were presented by Tom Leggett and Owen Cliff at JavaOne, and I'm going to be running through some of them. Let me play from current slide, and my thanks to them. These are two principals on the FN project, and they really are sharp guys. Hold on, I need your support on this because actually I think I need to go back.
Yeah, it would be better if you're able to share the whole.
Yeah, that's okay. If
The
we
whole
can't,
screen.
let me just do this in window. And then if I play from current slide. Bummer.
No, then you
Because
have-
it's a separate window.
yeah,
That's
it's separate.
why.
No, just go there
Oh.
and share again.
Okay. Good point.
Yes, and share again. Because it allows
This
you.
one. This one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's a security.
There we
thing
go.
Okay.
Sure,
good.
sure.
All right. Okay. So then we're gonna leave you.
All right.
So you're in the spotlight, Dad.
Yeah. Lovely. All right. So that's our Oracle Safe Harbor statement. And I'm going to skip to this one. All right. So people often call it serverless, right? But really, it's kind of a misnomer because there are indeed servers. Serverless is just a kind of somebody else's problem field that's been erected around the servers that you do have. And there's servers and networking gear, and there's routers and switches and all sorts of things. And what is nice about function as a service, it's a fascinating thing. It takes advantage of all of the capabilities that have been refined since the beginning of computer science with functional programming, where you have a simple function that takes an input, does some processing, and produces an output. And with this purity of programming model, you get a lot of benefits. You can define your workflows. You can compose them of lots of different separate parts and put them together in different ways, which means you have a lot of parallelism. That means, of course, with lots of parallelism, your system is hockey stick ready. You can easily scale up and scale down based on demand. You get, of course, a lot of user isolation. So the rise of Docker has really made this something that is more possible now than it's ever been in the past. And of course, there's the code behind this. And it being the cloud, everything is billed at a very, very fine grain. So you only pay for what you use. And so we have this FN project. If you go to fnproject.io, it's open source now. And we have very good Java support, which I'm going to demo here. But we also support lots of other languages. The little demo that I'm going to show you has Java and Go and Ruby and Python in it, but those are just a few. We've got even more than that. With the FN Flow system, which I don't have a demo for, but which was shown in the keynote, if you look in the keynote replays, lets you use the Java 8 functional interfaces to compose workflows that span thousands of nodes. And it's a really great way to take advantage of the Java 8 flow capabilities, but leverage them to great effect in your data center. So it's one of those things where you have the perfect storm of Docker for containers and isolation. You have Kubernetes, because this can run on Kubernetes for your data center manipulation. And you have the power of the Java 8 functional programming and flow APIs and streams APIs to let you do orchestration in a way that you can completely understand it. And I think no other platform has that capabilities. So it's like the right place at the right time with the right skills. So I'm going to switch over to a different demo now. And give me a moment while I turn off this screen share and open up a different screen share, which is this one, and play from in window. Play from current slide, and if I go over to my screen share and turn on this thing, here we are. There we go. So we have the FN project, fnproject.io, which I'll show when I share my browser window. We also have a microservices effort that is kind of a basically, you can think of them, think of microservices as longer running functions, right? Things that don't just spin up and spin down on a per invocation basis. They last longer. So, you know, microservices are kind of, even though they're hot and new, when you compare them to serverless and functions, they're kind of even could be seen as a legacy way of doing things if you go completely stateless and serverless. Tying those two together is the state service. This is the little bit that I'm very fortunate to work on. And the state service is based on top of Oracle Coherence, and it's going to be in the Oracle public cloud offering. And it's a scalable, resilient state store based on common data structures. And the first one we're going to put out there is map, which I'll show you here. So we have this little demo that is composed of a number of functions. Some of them are written in Ruby, some of them are written in Go, some of them are written in Python, some of them are written in Java. And they all work together and collaborate inside the Docker container, but it could be, you know, on a Kubernetes engine as well. This particular demo is about recognizing license plates and tweeting them out to Twitter if they meet certain criteria. So we have a scraper service, a function rather, that queries Flickr. Then that takes the JSON, it gets back from Flickr, passes it over to the detect plate service, which uses automatic license plate recognition to do OCR and recognize where the plate is in the image. Then it passes that JSON off to detect duplicates, which in turn passes it off to draw. The draw function draws the box around the license plate that's been recognized, and the alert function will tweet out the license plate warning to the Twitter. So in the state service that ties these things together, we have all of these different services: Progress, Alert Manager, Detect Duplicates, and Alert, that are leveraging the state service directly, because we have a Java API for that. We don't yet have Go and Ruby and Python APIs for the state service, but we are going to be working on making it accessible to those other platforms. All right, now let me see if I can show the demo. Don't save. And what happened to my turn screen share off? One more, share, and this will be the browser. Only fire, yeah, okay, allow. All right, so here is the browser. And this is just a local HTML page. And you can't see my text window. I guess I could try to share that. I'll try to do it that way. Here. Hope we're not losing people.
No, no.
Let me share the terminal. Can I share terminal? Yes. This one. Yes. Okay. All right, so we're sharing that. Let's see, there it is. Okay. So this is the demo here. Let's just do a Docker PS. And you'll see we've got my alert manager service is running, 2 of them. Minio, this is a thing that kind of acts as an Amazon S3 store, but it's running locally. And then the FN project is running as well. So if I run the demo, let's just cat run.sh. And so all run.sh does is send this payload to FN call scraper. So if I do FN list routes my app, you can see, oops, it's FN routes list, sorry. Routes list. These are the different routes that are inside my application. So the scraper is that one that I mentioned, which takes the license plate and I'm sorry, the scraper is the one that just asks Flickr for the data. So what am I doing with my cat? I'm just catting the payload. Well, let's cat the payload here. Cat services scraper payload.json. So you can see it's a very simple JSON query, license plate car USA. So let's just do the run. Oops. Run.sh. It's catting the, all right. So now let me switch over to the browser. Turn screen share off, turn screen share on. Firefox.
There's a way to allow the whole.
I know, that's all right. This guy. And let me reload this. Click go. And we should see the function starting to tick in here. It might be taking a little time because of, there we are. All right. So the first function we have running is the detect plates.
Didn't share that last
Oh, it didn't share. Oh, that's too bad. What happened? Turn screen share on. Firefox. I said allow. There it go. It's not going. Now I've got the beach ball. Okay. Firefox.
But please remember this decision so it doesn't ask you all the time.
Okay. No, it won't let me.
All right. Okay.
Huh.
Okay.
Did it go?
Yeah, it did. Now it did.
All right.
Okay, now it did. There.
Okay. So you can see the detect plates function is executing. And it spun up at most 9, and now it's kind of dying down. And it's going to be passing on to the next set of functions as it's running through. And let me show, in the meantime, this other part of the demo. This is our little web console that shows the license plate hits that we've had so far. And there's been 14 hits that have been recognized. You can see the progress bar is moving as the functions go through the system. And also we have the tweets that are coming out. This is from the last time I ran it a couple days ago. So I just want to see, it's a little bit slow because I've got PowerPoint and this screen sharing thing all running on my desktop at the same time. So that's why this is a little bit slow.
So everything is running on your laptop, right? So
Right.
You're not running this on the cloud right now.
Well, I mean, Flickr, it's calling Flickr, that's remote. It's the state service itself, which is, being basically the data store for where these plates are hit. That's running on the Oracle Cloud as well, running on Kubernetes.
Okay.
But what's running locally is all the FN servers.
All right.
So the orchestration is all happening locally. Now, you know, in a real production environment, the magic comes when you hook this up, because you could take this FN project and run it on your own data center. You can run it on your own infrastructure, wherever you like. But the real magic comes when you tie it with an existing cloud provider, and it's all ready to do for Kubernetes because it scales up really nicely.
Cool.
For that.
Cool.
Now we can see we got another image. Still waiting for this to tick up to 15. Let's see what we got going here. Yeah, it's just a little bit slow. Okay. Oh yes, so now we finally got the draw coming. What will happen is this will eventually show another data series for the alerts, and that's when the plates get stored into the system.
Okay. All right, so that's very cool. So basically, FN allows you to create, you know, little functions that in multiple languages, by the way.
Right.
And then you can just run them wherever you want.
Right.
And so why do people call this serverless?
Well, it's called serverless because I like to think of it as the ultimate extension of an idea that started, you know, right around 2004. JSF 1.0 had this, and Spring 1.0 had this too, the idea of inversion of control, where with the core of inversion of control is you don't care about what happens, you just get handed stuff. Right. So it was originally expressed as you put a bunch of annotations on your code, and then you get handed, here is your database connection, or your JDBC resource, or your managed bean, or whatever it is. If you take that idea and keep refining it, eventually you get to the point where everything except for your one little function is provided for you by someone else.
Right.
And it really is the total extrapolation of the idea of all you need to care about is your business language code. Right. You know, and it's boiled down to a function, which you then can orchestrate by writing several of them and using Java 8 Flow APIs to call them together. So do check out the the JavaOne Monday keynote, because there was a very good demo of that there.
Cool. All right. Yeah. So the keynotes are available, by the way. So you can.
Oh, let me show one more thing before I do.
Go ahead.
This is the web page for the FN project. This is really just a landing page. If you click on this, it really takes you right over to GitHub, and in there you can get the README, as you would normally do, and a quick start. So everything you need. But the URL to remember is just fnproject.io. Okay,
fnproject.io, and you mentioned that once you go there, it takes you to GitHub, right?
Right.
So it's what's in GitHub? Is the whole project open
yes,
source?
FN project is open source, and all the individual language runtimes, including of course Java, are open source there as well. We also have a Slack channel. So fnproject.slack.com. We have a public Slack channel. And I really am glad to be involved in this because it reminded me of my old days of, here, let me just do this quick search here. JSF IRC channel. Here we are. This reminded me of a blog post that I wrote back in 2005 of when we had a JSF IRC channel. So it's kind of like history repeating itself. Now, instead of IRC, it's Slack. Now, instead of JSF, it's serverless. But you know, the idea is the same. The community can get involved.
Right.
So
Mary from Chicago Jug, she asks us, can we take a look at the code behind the scenes?
Well, it's kind of hard to do when you only get to share one window, but I will try it. If I go, oops.
You know, I'm not sure if she's asking if to take a look at the code
right now,
you have, or if, but the thing being completely open source, you can go and take a look and see how it
Absolutely.
works. Right?
Yes. I mean, I could stop sharing here and actually go into the code. We get any alerts yet? We still didn't. So let me give up on that. And let me share the terminal again.
So why are you doing this? Let me quickly answer here. Marcelo asked, a few years ago, the big players were Sun, Oracle, Red Hat, and they still are. Now we're seeing Facebook, Twitter, Uber, Netflix. Let me just kind of move this here while you do this.
Right.
You know, we're seeing all those other guys like Twitter, Uber, Netflix, all those guys. And if those companies in the future can be helping to evolve Java, and I think some of them are already, Marcelo. So Twitter is part of the JCP. Twitter is on the JCP executive committee board, right? So they are part of the OpenJDK project. Netflix has also doing a lot of things in Java. I'm not sure if they're doing. Do you know if Netflix is doing anything with OpenJDK? I'm not sure if they are, but Netflix is heavily involved with Java, and they are open sourcing lots of Java things. So yes, Marcelo, they are already doing. They're already getting involved, and even recently, Google announced the availability of OpenJDK on Google Cloud. So Google is also involved with OpenJDK. So it's very good to see all those companies participating in the evolution of Java. So they are already doing it, and of course, the more open the Java technology gets, the more chance all those companies become participate better.
All right, I can do a quick code demo here. So if we look at this thing here, this is, oops, you don't see it.
We see the
yeah, you just see the shell. So waiting for this. I think it's in FN init. Oops, let me go to a different directory here. Make dir new service. See new service. FN init runtime equals Java. Okay, so what that did was create a POM like Maven. We love Maven. So let's just look at the POM. And this creates, we've got some built-in dependencies here. The FN project API, which is there. And notice it supports JUnit and test scope. So everything is fully testable locally. And then your basic Maven compiler plugin, Java 9. So let's just see what this generated. VI, it also generated a func.yaml. This is a YAML file.
Just reduce the size of the window a little bit.
Bigger or smaller?
Reduce the size of the window because it's, yeah.
I can make it bigger.
That's good. Yes, that's okay. So let me just cut it a little bit, but that's okay.
I don't want to do that. I want to see all of it.
Yeah. For some reason it's going to move it. I don't know why.
Oh well.
It's just one letter, but just.
I'm trying to get. Yeah, that doesn't seem to make a difference.
Good. Did.
That was good.
Last thing did. Oh no, I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway.
So func.yaml. Yeah, version, and so you see that it's also pointing to this handle request here. This is a Java 8 function or Java 8 simple Java 8 method in the class hello function. So if we do find dot type f, you'll see that we've got the test and the core function. So let's edit this. And this is just a simple thing. So handle request, it's going to be invoked when we call the function. So this is how you get very simple. And if we now take a look at my Twitter alert Java service, services, here we are, alert Java, vi alert, oops, find dot type f print. Just want to get the, here it is, vi this, there we are. So we have a few more imports, pubnub, here's the cloud map APIs, and we've also got Twitter for J in here, but you can see it's generally pretty simple. It's got this FN configuration thing. This is called when you start up the function. It sets up the cloud map, sets up Twitter, sets up this pubnub message bus thing. But the thing I wanted to show you is the handle request is still the same idea. Where is that? Here it is, handle request. So it's the same kind of function we just saw in the hello world. And it takes the incoming JSON and does a bunch of stuff with it, right? So you can see more of the code if you, go online.
Yeah, Mary said that GitHub repository is good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. So Marcelo asks about, if you think that JDK can be polyglot, we're going to support polyglots, and it's going to support even more languages in the future. And I think that we can run basically any language on top of the Java VM right now, Marcelo. So can it support even more languages? I think it supports all of them right now. So it's kind of, I think that's, but Oracle is doing a VM for multiple languages. Have you seen that project?
Well, there's the Graal VM,
Yeah.
but I don't know much about that.
Right. Okay.
I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, no problem. All right. So guys, can we just gonna put this here? Maximizing. All right. So I think we're getting to the end of our time here. It's almost 3 o'clock. We've been 1 hour and a half on this. And you guys live here in Orlando, but I got to travel, right? So I'm gonna be getting a plane in a couple of hours from now. So from here I'm gonna direct to the airport. And do you have any final remarks here?
Well, stay in touch. I find that it's really important to get out there and connect with people in the community. And I want to know, it's easy for me because I live kind of in this Java bubble. I think we all kind of do.
Yeah, we do.
But I want to hear more about what's happening outside and is this message getting through to people outside, outside of the Java bubble?
Right. And so do you think that how can people keep in touch?
Well, they can catch us on Twitter here.
Okay.
Right. So we've got Ed Burns
All right.
for Ed.
That's right.
And
CodeTown.
we've got CodeTown, and we have
VR Java Man.
VR Java Man. Yeah. So from a community perspective, I'd say I'm involved with a few jugs. Orlando is a really fun place to visit.
Yes, it is.
And if you guys would like to come out here and visit or be involved in our community here, we've got a very vibrant developer community. Just contact me through CodeTown.
Yeah,
And
like a backwards drawing here.
the Gainesville, the Gator Jug is a whole different animal. That's in north central Florida, the home of University of Florida. So we have 60,000 students there. It's, I think, one of the 10 largest public universities in the United States. So very, very vibrant community, and only a 2-hour drive from here. You can do that. And finally, we have the Senejug, the West African Java user group. That's senejug.com. And boy, you talk about a special experience. So we've had meetings at the Polytechnic University of Dakar.
Nice.
And they've got a wonderful graduate program that's all based on Linux. Fantastic place. So, if you want to come out, let me know, and we'll facilitate. Also, CodeTown, as I mentioned before, that's a social network that can be a lot of fun to get involved in. It'll give you some exposure, a place to ask questions and meet people. So those are ways to get involved.
All right, very cool. And so, I think we have a very, very good moments. JavaOne, there's all the announcements around JavaOne were great. There's a very, very good moment for you to participate more. And this here is going to be like the unofficial kickoff of a lot of the JavaOne discussion, right? Because I just love this idea so much of doing this here with you guys that I think I'm going to put to myself the challenge of going finding other JavaOne speakers to come here talk to you the next few weeks, right? So keep in touch, pay attention to your email. I will send invitation for you for other speakers to come up. I don't have anyone line up right now. You know, I'm just kind of, those guys gave me this great idea of doing this with more people. So we're going to try to bring more of the JavaOne content to you. Okay?
All right.
I think it's time for some wings.
I think so. Yeah, all right. Okay, guys. Thanks very much, everyone. It was great to have you here. You know, some people said here the links. Yeah, thanks Rodrigo to put all the links up for us. Thanks a lot, everyone. It's going to be amazing to be talking to you later. And thanks, you guys. Thanks very much, Ed.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Mike. It was great to have to be here with you in Orlando.
Great to be here.
Thanks, everyone. Great.